What is up, guys? We are back for another video, and this time we're on the launch of the new Mahindra 3XO. So this is the facelift to the XUV 300, and they've sort of changed the naming as well. But of course, I'm going to tell you guys everything that you need to know about it. So let's go. So first things first, from the exterior in terms of looks, I think it's quite an improvement from the outgoing model. For me personally, the XUV 300 was always a very bland looking car, although it had quite a lot of character because it had quite a lot of practicality, and in the right engine and transmission pairing, it was actually quite a very good car. It was also very fuel efficient. So the only thing for me with that model was obviously its exterior looks, but this new model looks really good. So up front you've got LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. The overall front end is obviously adopting the new Mahindra design language, and I think it looks really quite cool. But you guys can let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Moving over to the back, it's also been revised, obviously, and I mean, overall, rounding up the looks, I think it looks pretty cool, looks pretty neat, and it'll definitely attract a lot of eyes. Even driving now on this launch, you can just see like people kind of turning and looking and being like, yo, what is that car, So that's quite cool, and obviously it's got the Twin Peaks logo, so the new Mahindra sort of branding, so that's also quite cool to see. But moving over to the inside, we've also got a few updates as well. We've got a new driver instrument cluster, which is digital, and you can't really customize it much, but you can shift through different kinds of views. So in front of the driver, you can have like your driver assist, or you can have your vehicle information or your trip information. So that's quite cool. And you've obviously got, to the left, you've got your speed that you're doing, and to the right you've got your rev counter. So the information that's displayed there, quite decent and enough for what you may need on a day-to-day drive. Moving over to the left-hand side, you've got a new infotainment system. It measures about 10.25 inches, and it's touchscreen. Obviously, it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and yeah, the screen is quite clear and concise. The interface itself, I'm not the biggest fan, but it does get the job done. We've been jamming to some Tuguzin, and yeah, the audio system is also quite decent. Mahindras have always been, in my opinion, quite good at the audio systems that they have in their cars, so that's quite cool too. Another thing that I really do quite like as well is the material used on the doors and the dash. It's a really good and nice feeling material. You can tell that they haven't really cheaped out, and I'll speak about cheaping out when we talk about the pricing. But overall, the company is quite cool. If you're familiar with the XUV 300, then this will also be quite familiar to you. You'll notice here in the center console below the infotainment system, that hasn't really been changed much, so that's pretty much still the same. Over here, we've got a really big, somewhat of a panoramic sunroof, which is quite cool. I mean, you don't see that a lot in the segment, so that's quite cool as well, that Mahindra has decided to give that to people. And I mean, we know South Africans love their panoramic sunroof, so that gets a thumbs up from myself. Moving over to the back seats, I think this car is quite spacious as well. You've got enough knee room and leg room and even headroom as well. From the outside it may look quite small, but it's actually a lot bigger than what it looks like. So that's also quite cool, especially for small families who may be wanting to chug along some kids in the back. So yeah, that's quite cool. So in terms of boot space as well, this boot is also quite spacious. We've been carrying luggage for 2 people in the boot, and as you can see, quite spacious enough. So even if you're going like on a getaway a solo getaway or with your partner, you should be good with storage as well for all your luggage. So we've been driving in the top of the range model. This is the AX7L if I'm not mistaken, and it's priced at 405,000 Rand. So this one's got a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine up front, and it's mated to an automatic transmission. It's got 82 kilowatts and 200 newton meters of torque, and I think it's plenty enough. I mean, this is a small car, it's not a very big car, so it doesn't actually feel like that isn't a lot of power. You know, on paper it may look like it, but it's definitely got decent amounts of power, so I'm quite happy with that. There's no diesel derivative currently, to my understanding, but that might change in the future. Who knows? We will see, because in the pre-facelifted model there was a diesel model, and yeah, that was cream of the crop. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see if we do get one, but currently, like I mentioned, 82 kilowatts, 200 newton meters of torque, and to be honest, plenty enough. It's fuel efficient as well. On this road trip, you know, we haven't been using too much fuel to the northwest in Sun City, so that's quite cool. You know, it'll definitely appeal to the people shopping around in this segment, and that now obviously then brings me to the pricing. So I did mention that this specific model is priced at 405,000 Rand, but the whole model range starts from 225 odd thousand Rand, which, if you ask me, is actually quite impressive, because in that segment it's playing with other cars or competing with other cars such as the Renault Kaiga and, you know, those kinds of small compact SUVs, and I think this car has a lot more character than those compact SUVs, so that's quite cool. Obviously now, once you start getting up to this top of the range model, or near the top of the range, you know, now we're reaching the 400,000+ Rand mark, which may or may not be a very good thing. I mean, now you're talking about cars like the Kia Sonet, and, you know, the Volkswagen T-Cross, and even maybe some Chinese cars like the Chery Tiggo 4. Now I do need to mention that this car is really spec'd like absolutely well. Like, you know, it's got adaptive cruise control, it's got lane keeping assist, it's got, when you indicate to the left or right, you get a camera pop up on your driver instrument cluster. So those are some of the features that you don't get in some of the rivals like the Kia Sonet and the T-Crosses, like I mentioned. So it obviously then does beg the question that, you know, would you go German or Korean, or do you go Indian? Obviously that'll come down to preferences of an individual, but for me personally, I think this is a very strong contender, especially in that segment. I think it's definitely worthy, and it's definitely something that you should consider if you're shopping around in that segment. So up on the screen right now, you can see how much it'll cost you to pay this car off on a monthly basis, in terms of installments, and this is how much it'll cost you to insure it with Naked. You can get a quote in literally under 90 seconds, quick, hassle-free. All you gotta do is put in your details. No one is gonna call you from a call center to bother you and, you know, nag you about why you need to take on insurance. So that's quite cool. Check out the link in my bio, and of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But alas, that's it from me and the Mahindra 3XO. It's been an absolutely amazing launch, you know, driving to Sun City and, you know, just sort of getting to grips with this car. I suspect that we might see a lot of these on the roads, but I'm keen to hear what you guys' thoughts are, so drop your comments down below. But catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.